You are listening to the Pencil and Paper Podcast Network. Visit pencilandpaperproductions.podbean.com to find more great podcasts.
Welcome to the Palace of Megapixels. This is Super Mega Crash Brothers Turbo!
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Super Mega Crash Brothers Turbo. I'm your host, Stephen White. With me, as always, is my co-host, Lacey Finley.
Happy Monday and console release week.
Yeah, no kidding.
Right?
It's been, I know everybody's excited. You got your PS5s and your Xbox Series X's and S's and whatever.
The stuff.
all the stuff.
Things.
All the new games coming out with it.
Yeah.
You're all excited, I'm sure.
Yes.
I mean, I'm not going to be...
I'm not an early adopter of any technology. I've learned that lesson in my life.
I mean, trust me, I do want to get my hands on one at some point. And I will say I'm struggling with something right now when it comes to releases, because I really, really, really want to play Miles Morales.
Oh, yes.
And I can, because, I do have a PS4, and it's going to be available on PS4. And I know that I could roll it over to the PlayStation 5 for free, because they said that was a thing. But I'm also a Spider-Man fanatic, and I'd kind of want the new upgraded remaster.
You want the nice, pretty one.
Yeah, because I would I would play it yet again. I've played the game thoroughly twice since I got it. It's the first time I've done that with a game in a long time. So I would definitely play it a third time, but they're not allowing me to purchase that one and then get that rollover. It seems to be this barrier, which I feel like is garbage. If I bought it, I should have it for both if you're doing the free upgrade,
I feel like we were confused about that when they first announced it, too, where I was like, wait a minute, this direction but not this direction?
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense. So I really, really want to play it, but I want the shiny thing.
Well, at least take comfort in knowing that even if it's a year from now that you get the PS5, I'm sure you'll still be able to purchase said game. It just may not be in a fancy bundle, and who knows? By then, it might even be cheaper because it's been out for a year.
That's true. That is one thing I have.
It'll be a long year of waiting, I know, because you'll badly want to play Miles, or have to suck it up and I guess buy it twice.
Nah, I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah, I don't like doing that either. But
no, I mean, I'll suffer. I understand it's great. So even if I did get it, me coming on here and telling you it's great, it doesn't. It's going to be great.
Right.
Everyone already is saying it's great. I've seen 10s across the board just about. You don't need me to tell you that. So I know it's going to be good. You don't need a review from me. I'll wait it out. I kind of want that to be my introduction to the PlayStation 5. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, that's fair. You want that to be the first game you load up. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I know that I've got a great game waiting for me, a game that I am excited to play for when I do get a PlayStation 5. So it makes it all the more magical and special for me, despite because I've heard that complaint, well, it's not that long. I don't care. I do not care. Yeah. I just want to play as Miles Morales, swinging around New York, being Spider-Man again, doing all that fancy jazz and whatnot. And who knows what'll happen over time, how many suits they'll release or whatever. I'll just be ready when all that crap comes out. I'll be ready for it. I'll be excited.
And they'll have the kinks worked out if there was anything that,
bugs,
the console was working through. Sure. That's always my thing. It's because tech just hates me by just my sheer existence. So it's always safer for me to give new technology a year, because inevitably I will be that person that gets that small percentage of a bug that they're, they'll push out an update. But I'm like, dang it. I'm stuck now until it happens,
But all this said, and I don't want to spoil anything for next week, but there may possibly be a sneak preview for Miles Morales next week.
Ooh.
But don't hold me to that. But I feel confident in saying that I probably will talk about it a little bit next week, hands on. Just saying.
Ooh.
But I don't want to tell.
Exciting.
I don't want to say anything. Yeah, I don't want to say anything more than that because I want people to be like, "Oh, what's next week?" I just gave you a tease to come back next week and see what all that's
what's
about.
rolling around in the old noggin now. Yeah.
Right. A few things I want to touch on real quick. Congratulations to Democracy, and I'm going to leave that there. Whoever you voted for, I don't want to say anything negative. I know we've spoken negative in the past.
Yes.
Just understand that Democracy won this week because this is how it goes.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to, if I'm going to play devil's advocate, it worked in 2016.
It did.
And it worked in 2020. Just going to lay that out there, and I'm going to leave it there. So congratulations to Democracy for doing its job and being what it is.
Absolutely.
And hopefully it does not get undermined. Secondly, I know I haven't really touched on this a lot. I know I've mentioned it in the past, but I'm going to bring it up again because, we don't do a lot of things here merch-wise, but we do have this Teespring store. The Super Mega Crash store on Teespring. If you want to go over there and just take a look around. I added a few little things. I'm still not, doing a whole lot. But I guess I want feedback. You know what I mean? That's why I'm not adding a lot. But we do have some stuff over there with our avatars, the logo, things, just teach. You can get a mask if you want to wear a mask.
There you go.
Yeah, get you a mask that says Super Mega Crash Brother Turbo on it. You can get a coffee mug. You can get a sticker. You can get whatever you want.
A little keychain, maybe?
Maybe a keychain. I probably need to create a T-shirt with the logo on it. I didn't do that. I was working on the little things thinking, that'll be good. But I could do that too.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like I'm going anywhere these days, but,
right.
But
you can get a mask. Yeah, get a mask.
Yeah, exactly.
Get you a mask. You're going to be wearing that, so
for a while, I'm sure. Yes.
But yeah, if you want to go check it out, Super Mega Crash Store, Teespring, just give it a look-see. You don't have to. Yeah. You don't have to buy anything. Just consider it, and if you think of something that you would like to see on a T-shirt that involves Super Mega Crash Brothers Turbo, let us know, and maybe I'll whip something up for you.
There you go.
There you go.
Very fun.
So, what you been playing?
So, of course, Slay the Spire and Fallout Shelter. We'll just assume that's like the norm moving forward for a while. I don't understand why I get re-addicted to certain games, but here we are. But I didn't get as much time with it this week as I was hoping I would. Mm-hmm. But I dove into No More Heroes.
Oh.
I took up your suggestion and snagged up only the first one while it was on sale just to see if I was going to like it or whatever. And that's an interesting game.
It is. Told you.
That's all I could say. I haven't gotten terribly far. I think I'm on like the third assassin. So I'm trying for rank 8 or something right now. And she's really pissing me off. I think that's why I put her down for a minute, because her last, sorry, spoilers, maybe 3, 2, 1, but like her last move, I still for the life of me cannot figure out how to dodge it. And it's pretty much that's all she wrote when she throws that last one out. And I was getting so pissed because I had the dodging and everything down pat for the whole fight, and it would go into that slow mode kind of thing, and I'd tear her up, and then that last big move would happen, whoa, 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 and I get floored, and I got so pissed that night that I had to just rage quit, because I was like, I can't understand why I can't roll fast enough out of the way for that particular move. And it probably was about 30 minutes of me attempting it that I had to just like, you know what, I can't right now. I'm getting so pissed because it's so early in the game. I feel like for me to be having this much trouble when the rest of them you're just like kind of like creaming easy, you know. But,
what I love about that, because you're not the first person to make this same observation, like, what the hell? This is only number 8. And this is how I explained it to them. I said, this is a game that throws out all expectations. You're going to be surprised by this. Yes, Shinobu is one of the hardest fights you will have. But then you'll come across the next one right after it, and you'll be like, why was that so hard? And this one's so damn easy. And it just, it mixes up your expectations because you think, it'll be easy until I get to the end. No. We're not going to do that.
Yeah.
There's actually a fight you're going to come to, and I won't spoil it for you. Once you finally do get past her, that you have this idea about what this fight's going to be, because when it starts, you're like, I don't even know where to begin with this. And then they twist it on you in a way that I didn't see coming. And I was like,
oh, well.
All right, then. Okay.
That's how this is going to go now. No,
Yep.
I mean, I'm having fun with it, but I admit I got super pissed at that. And the fact that you could tell it's an older game, so you can't like skip through cutscenes or anything like that. So the constant having to watch the one over again finally wore on my nerves enough that I was like, I got to set this down for tonight. Like,
No, that's
I'm kind
understandable.
of starting to quote the whole beginning line, you know, over and over again. But yeah, no, I think my only complaint would have been because I know it's from the Wii.
Mm-hmm.
I think I would have enjoyed the port where I could have just used a regular controller.
Right.
After a while, I get kind of tired of having to move the thing around. And I feel like the controls for like slicing aren't as responsive. So like if I'm going right and that's the way the arrow goes, I feel like I nail it every time. Going up, like...
Yeah.
I feel like I got to flick it like 2 or 3 times for it to register, and then finally it will. You know, I feel like left side to side, but up and down, that controller. I've tried putting it at an angle to see if that's how it wanted it. I've tried laying it flat, and it's just kind of like a hit or miss when it wants to go up or down. So I could totally do away with the Wii controls.
Sure, absolutely.
I would have had so much more fun, I think, if it could have just been ported for a regular controller. But very small gripe. Very small gripe. Like, I understood that that's what it was built for. And we'll deal with it. But so I will get through it. But yeah, I mean, it's fun. It's ridiculous. So tomfoolery to be had, which is always up my alley. And so hopefully I can get through it and really, really get to enjoy it. Because I feel like I'm still way too early to like really have gotten into the story. But I see what you mean too about the needlessly being open world.
Yeah. It's
I would have kind of just rather click on the quest and go to it than having to like drive all the way there or back and forth. And they're like really kind of far apart. Like where you pick up a job and then go to the job site. Although I kick ass at some mowing lawns. Just saying.
Bet.
Just saying.
Yeah.
It wasn't very good. The coconut one kind of just like was too dull, so I just couldn't bring myself to come back and do it because it was just so ridiculous that you got to sit there and tap the button. So he as he's carrying a coconut, you know, and trying to run but getting tired. I'm like, okay, I can't do this. There's too many like annoying little noises and like the camera angle. I can't just adjust it on the fly, so it's like I have to turn him all the way around to get the camera to work. So. But yeah, I think I'll enjoy it. I think if I sit down with a clear head and then that's my first fight, that maybe I could get her within 1 or 2 because I had been playing for a couple hours at that point when I got to her and then got a little frustrated. I was like, we got to walk away. But
I remember her being, I mean, like I said, she is difficult, but there is good reason for that. You will find this stuff out as you progress. There is not just for the sake of throwing out or like changing your expectations, but even story-wise, I'll say that. Mm-hmm. So there's a very good reason, and you want her to be that. But it's a matter of just figuring it out, the pacing, what you need to do. You'll figure it out. You'll get it. Once you get past her, I don't want to say it's a breeze, but you will have a breezy time.
I feel like I just got to get that last hit on her because like her health bar will be like what would appear maybe 1 or 2 more slices, and then she gets me with that big move, and then it's just over and over and over again, and then I'm dead, and I'm like, God, mother, want to throw stuff. Like I think I made it through 2. So, like, I had found the little box and got my health all the way up before that big one hit. So I survived 1. And then she went right back into it, and I still couldn't dodge. And I'm like, this is bullshit. I was just getting so, like, this is impossible. There's no way to figure it out. You know, being just like a big baby about the whole thing. The Hubs is playing on the computer. I'm like, this is bullshit. He's like, yeah, I'm kind of getting tired of hearing that whole start over again. I'm like, I don't know what to do.
If nothing else, maybe find a strategy, a walkthrough, just say, like, this is what you got to do.
Not
pace
yet.
Yourself. Not
yet.
But I'm just saying, if you get to that point, just because I don't want you to just give up because you can't get by. I want you to get past it.
Yeah. I think
I can understand.
It's probably just I'm a little bit too slow at doing the dodge roll is probably what it is. And I ended up too far away from her because I know if you're right up on her and then dodge, your odds are a lot better than if you're trying to roll away if you get pushed too far in front of her or she runs away too far. So that's why I got her down to very little health like instantly because I'd almost just get her pinned in a corner and just keep rolling behind her. And then she'd do it again and I'd roll behind her and I just like I was flying through it. I was like, I got this. And then the first time I had that big one, I'm like, what just happened? I was so confused. I'm like, wait a minute. And then 30 minutes later, I'm like, all right, I'm done. I don't know why I can't figure out this last one. But what have you been playing?
Honestly, nothing. I think
this week.
Yeah, kind of. I think the last time I played Breath of the Wild was maybe a week ago today. Ooh. And it was just, I had that time. Of course, I was traveling, well, maybe I did play it Monday or a week ago. I don't know. I haven't played it all week. I'll just say that. I've been focused elsewhere. I did do some work on the next episode.
Nice.
So I got all the dialogue kind of pieced together so I could kind of roll through it and listen to it and see if anything needs to be tweaked. I personally feel like I'm going to re-record my own dialogue because I always feel like I can do it better. Sure. Like the more I do it and I listen to it, I'm like, no, I can do this better. I can do it better.
Don't drive yourself crazy with it, though.
I try not to.
You are your own worst critic.
I am. But I also feel like that when we did it as kind of like a base recording, it was trying to get the dialogue down and laid out and everything. And then now I can listen to that and then just go back and try to figure out, okay, well, in what way can I improve this? Because I've already added in my head. By the way, you're going to have to record one eensy-weensy little thing. You and Todd both. Because right at the beginning, there was a scene I hadn't quite laid out yet. Like I didn't have it written in the script. And then I was thinking of a way to start the episode. And then an idea popped in my head. And then I was like, okay, so I'm probably going to have you and Todd both record some little snippet of something, very, very simple, very quick, but just some itsy-bitsy little thing that I can add in to kind of kick off the scene and go from there because that's how my brain works. And it probably won't be the last time I ask you that.
It's fine.
But we'll see,
Yeah.
But as far as some of the characters that are going to be in that, there's one character that I cannot ask to re-record. Luckily, all of her lines came out okay because, I can't just make another trip up to Ohio and get that line recorded. So
kind of a shame they don't have just a semi-decent mic so they could just send it to you. Yeah.
But I mean, everything sounded good. I chose the best readings of each, and I was there to dictate and direct. So I feel like I got what I needed, and it flows with everything else that's been recorded up to that point. So nice. Luckily, and Katrina actually paid me a compliment. I don't know if I told you this or not, but as we were doing the line readings, we were kind of splitting up lines. Like she was doing her lines, and your lines, and then I was doing mine and Todd's. And she said, if Todd was never available, you could probably fill in and no one would notice.
I've said that like a million times because of how many different voices you can make. I'm like, if we're having trouble casting, like you could just.
I mean, if it was such
the beauty of a voice actor, know.
If it was a very, very teensy weensy line, which kind of like what I want him to say, for what I was just mentioning, I probably could do it and just.
And no one would notice.
Yeah.
I still find it hilarious that he chose that voice for him to play.
I know,
himself.
right? I know. And he's committed to it now, so
now
it's
in there. He's just gotta, commit all the way.
So it's fine. But yeah, I haven't played anything, and I'm really looking forward to. I guess I'm just gonna say this up front. I'm 2 weeks. I'm taking a week-long vacation, and not just a way to. I'm hoping to actually do some more work on the animation, full, like not the entire week, but I want to try to commit a little bit of time to that, see if I can get it done, and then of course maybe I'll get some gaming in. Maybe I'll finally get to play Ghost of Tsushima, and Todd will get off my back.
There you go.
So we'll see. But what you got in the news category? Anything?
I got a couple of things. It was a little bit lighter this week because, as most of us probably are already aware, the focus was a lot on the reviews coming out for the new consoles that are to be released this week. And I didn't really feel like there was a whole lot to dive into there because the reviews for both seem to be coming out really good.
Yeah.
Like it's minor differences here or there, but I never really found a review that was really trashing either console for any feature. So, although there was one fun story, apparently an Xbox fan got their Series X a little early that ordered it through like a Microsoft Direct in Portugal and already was posting that on Reddit like, oh my God, look. So there's one lucky person that somehow got sent their Xbox early and they're playing on it. That's not a review or a journalist or anything like that. So
can I say something about that real quick? I mean, as interesting as that is, have you ever, like, I don't do this very often, but I actually did this recently for my brother and his wife. They were having a baby shower and we weren't going to be able to make it, right? So I wanted to send them a gift. And they asked me in the shopping cart, when do you want this delivered? You could pick your delivery date. And I said, all right, well, I would feel comfortable if they sent it like close to the day of, thereabouts. That way I know that they're kind of getting it, and I don't know when their work schedule is or whatever. So end of the week, very, very close, right there, boom, they'll have it. It was set to be delivered on that day, and they still delivered it 2 days early. I was like, what the, dude, I said on this day, and you still, and I got like the delivery confirmation 2 days early, and I was like, what's the point of even asking for you to deliver it on this date if you're not going to do it?
I guess they figure early is better than late.
Yeah, but if I asked you this one day, it's scheduled for this day, why would you do it early? Why would you do that?
I don't know.
Defeats the purpose.
I think most people are just like, you know what, whatever. We're just going to do our stuff when it...
I mean, clearly. But no, this guy, he was one of those lucky guys that just, they had that mentality. Who cares? Just send it now.
I don't get paid enough to carry this much. Or whatever the grumblings might be. But Sony did also announce that launch day will be online only for the moment. So for purchases, warned to plan ahead. It seems like they were mostly just trying to let people know, like, hey, don't camp out in front of stores or create a crowd or anything. They will not be in physical stores for a little bit. So if you were planning on going to a brick and mortar place to pick it up, sounds like you best be getting online and hoping that there is a unit left for you to purchase to hopefully have it close to when it's released. So it's still saying scheduled for November 12th or 19th, it looks like, depending on where you live in the world. But yeah, that seemed to be about the only thing as far as the consoles this week, because they're both getting really good reviews. So,
good.
I haven't heard anything earth-shattering. Nobody's saying their, living room went up in flames or whatever. So it sounds like it's going to be an exciting time for gamers right now. So
right.
Although this one I found interesting. Maybe it could have been a weird news. I don't know. Let's see. Gabe Newell, which most of us know, owner of Steam and all of that good stuff, is launching a Half-Life inspired titanium gnome into space.
Why?
Yeah, I don't know, even after reading the whole thing, that I was completely certain why this was the way we were going to go. But you can actually watch the journey if you would like via a live stream. So apparently this is a way to thank New Zealand for its hospitality during COVID. You see, Gabe had been in New Zealand apparently this whole time and visited friends at one of the workshops and Rocket Lab, which is a Long Beach aerospace company in Auckland. And so the 3D printed gnome is apparently a tribute item from Valve's video games and was designed by the Weta Workshop, which is one of the places that he visited while he was there in New Zealand, which worked on movies we probably Avatar, Mulan, Lord of the Rings franchise, and it'll blast into space on one of Rocket Lab's rockets. So,
Okay.
for every viewer who watches the satellite launch live stream or the online recording within 24 hours of launch in mid-November, Newell said he will donate $1 to the pediatric intensive care unit at Starship Children's Hospital in Auckland. And so apparently the gnome is a tribute to Noam Chomsky, which is an item that first appeared in Valve's game Half-Life 2 Episode 2 before popping up in other Valve games. So that was the bulk of the story. I still don't understand how shooting this gnome up into space is a tribute, unless it's all just a nice way to really show off the tech that's going on there. And just a fun way to raise some money for pediatric intensive care. I guess when you have FU money, you can do things like this. So just kind of a fun random thing that I saw going on. And yeah, so we can all watch a titanium 3D printed gnome get shot into space. So thanks, New Zealand.
Sure. Okay.
So that happened, or will happen. But the only other bigger news that I kind of saw this week is it's another Twitch story. Twitch again and again and again and again and again. And it's just common knowledge now that there will always be some dumpster fire happening there, I think. But among the slew of bans that have been getting doled out for DMCAs, they're on it now, guys. They're on it now. It's the ads that are even becoming more problematic, because we've already heard the whole back and forth about how they were trying to get streamers to run their own ads and streamers wouldn't, and then they were forcing mid-roll ads and all of this stuff. So I've also noticed that I don't really do a whole lot of Twitch watching these days, and admittedly, it's because these ads have kind of driven me away from the platform as far as browsing goes. So they have been a problem for Twitch, more so the ad blockers this time. Twitch has figured out how to get around the bigger, better ad blockers. And I can speak from experience because, yes, I'm one of those people. I use uBlock Origin, and I've noticed now that it is not getting blocked on Twitch anymore at all. But they've also been accused of downgrading the video quality for viewers who are using these ad blockers as a way to force you out of even attempting it. I just don't even know anymore. Apparently this was a bug though with the video downgrading. So fixes were rolled out as all as this seemed to happen on November 5th was when they started getting a lot of reports from people going, I'm watching large streamer, why is the video quality at 480?
Right.
So as of right now, your video quality apparently is no longer suffering if you use ad blockers, but the pre-roll ads are making their way through. So it sounds like we all just have to deal with it moving forward or go somewhere else for your entertainment. I mean, I get the gripes just because it is a live platform. So it's like we've kind of accepted it with YouTube or really any other way we watch TV or something like that. But on Twitch, I don't know how you fix it. I really feel like it should be in the streamer's control. And I've heard some have contracts where they actually have to roll so many ads per stream. And I feel like if they worked it into their schedule better, because then you could determine, hey, I'm going on break, I got to use the restroom or something, I'm going to roll 2 or 3 ads. If you need to stretch, if you're a subscriber, you're not going to see it anyway. You know, there's one guy that I watched, it's a free way to support the stream, gets up, it'll force you to take more breaks even. Think of it that way, you know. But I wish it was just given 100% their control, but we've also noticed that streamers just don't want to do it because it's live content. So it's this power struggle now back and forth with these two, and we'll see what's going on. But the DMCA bans are coming down. They are aware of Twitch. They are watching Twitch. I've seen people getting banned for 2 to 3 seconds on an alert that they used to use just a tiny piece of a song on and get banned from. So guys, clear it out. Unfortunately, I think the larger streamers will probably be the first ones to be made an example of. Because if you look at somebody who's getting 15, 20, 30,000 views and playing that song, they're going to equate that to how much they could have gotten had each individual listener been listening to that song on a legit service or something. So cut it out. Cut it out.
Is it worth it? I mean,
some of them really feel like they're bigger than this and that they're like, I'm just not going to do it. And I'm like, ugh, just the hubris on some streamers sometimes. You realize you'll be the one they'd want to make the example out of.
Yeah.
Not somebody who has 10 to 20 viewers or 50 even, but somebody who has tens of thousands. What better way to send a message? You think the DMCA people give a crap?
No, they don't. I mean, clearly
exactly. They want their money.
Yeah, money. We want that penny that 3 seconds was going to earn for us. Money.
Yep.
Okay.
I don't know. Well, again, and this could be just a very long, drawn-out debate, too, because a lot of it is like if we could just update laws that reflect today's society instead of from 1998, you could try to work together a little bit. But
yeah.
They're not in a place where they're willing to have those discussions right now. So we'll see what happens in the future. But just know, just stay away from that copyrighted music if you don't own it or have permission.
And even if you're sure, because I've even had this fight on YouTube with Man Cave. Okay. Episodes 3 and 6 of season 2. I use music that was given to me by the artist. I had his blessing. He gave me the music, and I still got a copyright strike. And I fought them, saying I got permission from the artist. And they didn't hear it. They're like, nope. So it's...
Yeah, it's a tough battle, and even if you do have the rights to it, I've heard it can still cost you exorbitant amounts of money just to even prove it. So even if you see that, we've been saying this, that indie musician on Twitter, like, hey, I give you permission, in 10 years from now, if that person gets signed to a big label, that label now might own it, you know, like, so, because I've heard that too, where people have had stuff up on YouTube for years and just started to get a copyright strike on stuff, you know, so you just can't just trust them at face value. You got to get that written permission, you know what I mean? But now I just have a few quick hits. I said, I did as much as I could looking through. There wasn't really a whole lot of big news this week. I think we're all gearing up for these console releases. So maybe next week we'll have a whole mess of news since people have had their hands on it this whole week. But one of the bigger quick hits that I saw and people were excited about, there's a new Mass Effect game that was announced. This dropped alongside the news that a remaster of the original trilogy is on its way, titled Mass Effect Legendary Edition, but they dropped hints that they're making a brand new one as well. So people were pretty freaking excited about that. If you were a Mass Effect fan, might be a good time for me to check it out once they get it remastered and everything.
Yeah, I've never played it either. And
I haven't either.
I guess after hearing the part 3 debacle, the ending of that, I was just like, But I know that's unfair to judge all 3 based on one. And if they're going to remaster it, it's like Mafia. I've kind of wanted to check out Mafia.
Yeah, I want to check out the new remaster also.
You know, I never have played the games. Seems like it's something I'd be into, but I don't know.
I think you would. 2 was always my favorite, but now that, 1 came out remastered and kind of looks like 2 and how it plays and everything, it would be kind of fun to go back and play it that way, having played the first one the way that it was,
Yeah.
and just see. But, you probably would, actually.
I guess
still think you'd like 2. And I don't think you have to play the first one to know what's going on in 2 at all.
Yeah. I think I'm just waiting for a discount. Get them
That's
cheap.
fair.
And then be like, I'll check them out now.
That's totally fair. Let's see. Bethesda provided some details this week on their next MMO titled Starfield. Basically, though, just to tell us we're working on it, but there's not going to be any updates coming anytime soon. So, we just wanted to let you know we are doing things.
Oh, wow. Good.
Yeah. That was about all I could see. It was like, hey, just trust us. It's getting worked on. But, not for a while. Activision Blizzard made $1.2 billion in microtransactions last quarter.
Go to hell.
Which mostly actually came from Call of Duty, Modern Warfare, and Warzone was the biggest chunk. 1.2! Jesus Christ.
But it figures because those are the people that do it.
This is why they're fighting so hard to keep it in there, man.
Of course.
Hand over fist. Sad news, though. Kerbal Space Program 2 got pushed to 2022. I mean, they've kind of had a rough time going on here with, weren't we the ones talking about the whole story with the, let's pretend it's a new company and buy up all the people and push out the death. Yeah, so they've had a rough go of it. So give them time, but at least it's not canceled.
Sure.
They said 2022. The Medium, which was to be Xbox Series X and S respectively exclusive game, has also been delayed to the end of January 2021. Mm-hmm. The year of delays. One thing I saw too, Sony confirmed that the PS5 won't actually support SSD storage expansion at launch. They said yes, it does have the slot for it, but it just won't be enabled right away.
Well, they're going to have to fix that because I saw a video where they were talking about transferring all your data, and they were just like, here's what you can do. Hook them together. Transfer it via Wi-Fi. Or you can do it signing into your account. Or just plug in an SSD, external hard drive or whatever and transfer it that way. I was like, no, okay. So if you're saying that on your video, maybe that's the only way people have it.
Just not at launch. Like Mark Cherney said, it'd be great if that happened by launch, but it's likely to be a bit past it. So please hold off on getting that M2 drive until you hear from us.
Now you were way too emotional for that line reading. You should have been a little bit more robotic. It's Mark Cerny we're talking about.
It'd be great if that happened by launch, but it's likely to be a bit past it. So please hold off on getting the M2 drive till you hear from us.
There you go. Nailed it. That was it.
Beautiful. There we go. Felt like he was in the room for a minute. I got scared. So simply stating that not all M2 SSDs are fast enough to keep up with the PS5 right now. Or thin enough to fit in the bay, or even compatible with the Sony controller. So it looks like they did all of these things and was like, oh, but the tech actually isn't good enough just yet. So we made technology too big. I don't know. It's coming with a pretty big hard drive, so you guys can figure it out from there. Again, I'm not going to get it on day one, so... But just letting you know, hold off on buying those extra drives just yet, because apparently it won't be ready for a bit. He didn't say how long a bit is. It's just a bit.
Wow. All right.
Yep. Hey, I know you're all excited about this one. Twitch announced a virtual TwitchCon. Maybe now the lines will be under control.
Oh my God. I don't want to go.
But guess what they're calling it, man? The irony is kind of great here.
It's a virtual TwitchCon. Mm-hmm. They gave it a clever name, I'm clever and clever for Twitch. Yeah, I got nothing. Go ahead.
GlitchCon.
Oh, fuck you.
All right, well, our GlitchCon's going to happen on November 14th. So there you go. If you were bummed that there was no TwitchCon, now we can do it virtually. I just saw the name and I'm like, really? I don't. All right.
I only went to see Friends, and now it's no different than then, so I don't care.
Yeah, that's true. I was the same way. Nolan North did give us a little video this week talking about his visit on the new Uncharted movie and talks about it there. He tells us he thinks they stayed pretty true to the game, which gave me a little bit more hope. I mean, you can go watch the full video if you like over on YouTube, but it made me happy to hear that he was on the set and saw what they were doing and is excited about it. So
yeah,
maybe that means good things to come.
I did watch a little bit of that when it was airing live, and yeah, I was curious. I wanted it because I could hear, like, I remember him talking like he had reservations early on.
Yeah.
Like he wasn't sure. And he's like, I just don't know if you can do this. And that was, this is long before they started filming. I think it was when they announced it.
Sure.
And now that he's seen it in action, and that's usually how it works. If you can actually get your hands on it and see it, it kind of assuages a lot of fears. Saying like Heath Ledger, that's a great example. Yeah. When they said he was Joker, I'm like, what? And then I saw him in action.
Like, what? Yeah.
And then I'm like, all right, I'm on board. You got to subvert your expectations sometimes and just trust that what they're saying could be a good thing. So
yeah.
even sometimes the things that you think you want and then you get them, you're like, I don't want this.
Yeah.
But
at least now you know because you can visualize it. You saw it. It's not scary anymore. You're seeing what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
But speaking of scary, Melina's MK Ultimate gameplay, though, Did you watch that?
I did. That was brutal. Biting
got a
people's
strong
necks.
stomach for that one, man. Oof. Oof. That's
I heard
all
people
I had on that Quicket.
Well, I heard people I didn't go deep diving into it because all I could do was just shake my head and be like, God damn, people got to complain about something. Is people were bitching about her fatality. Why, I don't know. I mean,
I can't imagine what would be wrong with it. I guess.
I guess maybe it's just not cool enough, or it's
Didn't
not.
they want her in the game?
Yes,
Weren't
all
they
these
all,
people were
clamoring?
just like, bring Melina, and all this. I mean, it was just like this troll train that they did on Ed Boon for the longest time, where it was just like, you've got to put her in the game. Oh my God! And then now that they've got her, they're gonna complain about something.
Jesus. Yeah. All right. Well, I thought it looked cool.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it looked brutal, gory, gross, which I figured checks all the boxes.
Mm-hmm.
Although I don't follow the series, so keep that in mind, of course. I'm not one of those people who buys it and plays it all the time. So, but I don't know. Yeah, whatever. And I'm sure you'll be excited here. Epyx is giving V-Bucks bonuses to Fortnite players on iOS and Mac platforms. Probably as a way to keep them playing somehow, even though they can't really access it anymore.
Oh my God.
But I mean, if you're an iOS player, Epyx will give you a V-Bucks bonus equal to the amount of unspent V-Bucks purchased through the App Store. So there you go. You can double your V-Bucks.
If you had one, you got two.
An update you'll never get. I guess you'll never get the next season. But the old season, as many V-Bucks as you like.
Mm-hmm.
The bonus is expected to hit accounts on November 9th, if you were curious. So there you go. So today, congratulations. And Fortnite is also set to return to iPhones if you have NVIDIA cloud gaming service. So there's like a little workaround for you here. Apparently, Apple still doesn't get a cut from the virtual items sold when played this way.
Mm-hmm.
Lol.
Mm-hmm.
When I read that part, I'm like, Jesus Christ. Like, is Apple just going to shut down NVIDIA cloud gaming now too?
At this point, why not?
Well, I guess only if NVIDIA tries to sue Apple, maybe. I don't know. However,
I'd rather, my NVIDIA GeForce GTX not go to waste thanks to Apple. Bastards. Not that I use it or anything.
I don't either. I haven't used an Apple product in a really long time.
I know.
But I know, don't be mad, but that was it. That was it this week. Ooh, he's got one though.
I got one teeny weeny little one that I saw, and it makes me excited, and it probably make me more excited if I actually play the game already, but I don't play the game, and I know I want to. I should. I have it.
I didn't know I wanted to, but I want to now. I know.
But It's just one of those things. It's like, oh God, I want to play it. Oh my God, I want to get that thing. But so Fall Guys added a little Godzilla costume, and I was like, that's cool. And you got to get like
cute.
10 crowns or something to get it, and they're like, that's cool. And they're like limited time. I'm like,
No, I played very little and never got a crown.
Yeah, I've not played at all, and 10 crowns seems like a lot.
Well, did you download it for the free when it was free?
No,
on
yeah.
PS4?
Like I've downloaded it, I have it. I've yet to play it, and then now they're saying you got to get 10 crowns, limited time only, and I'm like, well, I guess I'm not getting that because I'm not going to stop everything.
Get 10 wins.
Yeah, to stress over getting a little Godzilla costume. It's cool, don't get me wrong. Mm-hmm. And I would think, cool, if I was playing that, that's what I would want to be running around in, a little Godzilla costume. But I would have to stop everything I'm doing, commit to getting 10 crowns right now to get this costume for this game that I might play every now and again and then never touch again.
Yeah. No, I know the feels.
Still cool. I would want it, but I'll be fine.
Yeah.
I'll be fine.
Yeah, especially if you've never loaded it up.
Yeah, I'll be fine.
Yet, anyway. Yeah.
Like, if I had 9 crowns and all I needed was one more to get it, I would be on it right now.
Who knows? You might be awesome and don't even realize, and you would just knock out 10 wins in a row.
Never know. I don't know. I
feel like that's impossible, but...
Yeah. I have
me.
Too much going on to add yet another thing.
That's fair.
That's what I hate about all of this. Every time I turn around, I'm just like this week. Okay, so like I said, I didn't play the Breath of the Wild. It's because, you know what? I committed and I said I had those Marx Brothers films that I had not touched since I got them. I said, you know what? No, this week I'm going to watch those. I'm going to watch the Marx Brothers this week. I need a good laugh. There we go. And I did, and I enjoyed it. So that's why I didn't play the games, because I committed to something else. I cannot do all these things at once, so I have to commit to one thing at a time.
Multitasking really isn't a thing.
Mm-mm. I don't have all the time in the world that I wish I did.
Yeah, that's fair. Don't we? I feel like I had way more time this summer anyway, and I can't tell you that you would get much more done. I don't know. To each their own. We all started quarantine thinking we're going to learn a bunch of stuff, and by the end of it, we're still just eating massive quantities of food and
if I could get
as much time as possible.
If I could get 2 months off, I feel confident I could get a lot of things done that I want to do and free up time for the other things I would like to do. Mm-hmm. But I could squander it all away. Who knows?
It's easy to do. To do. You're like, well, I got nothing to do tomorrow, so why worry about it right now? And then that turns into months of saying that and then going, well, this year there's nothing to show for it. Mm-hmm. Of course, I shouldn't feel bad. I don't know that anyone really will. So that's fine. But yeah, you kind of left us on a cliffhanger.
I did.
From our big story last week.
Mainly because you have no idea what I'm about to lay out for you.
Not
because
at all.
When I started researching this story, in which we're all going to hear about today, there's a detail that I'm going to leave to the very end. And hopefully there's a part, like you'll want to know what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. And hopefully I will surprise you.
I might be invested.
That's my hope. Now, you may figure it out before the end. I don't know. But I hope I can keep you surprised. I hope I can keep you on the edge of your seat for the reveal.
Ready.
Because we were talking about Epyx software, computer software as it's known, and they had a nice
EPYX. We have to clear that.
Oh yeah, right? Epyx, not Epic, Epyx. Right. And they had a good run on the Commodore and the Amiga. A lot of these, they're not really computer. They are, but they're not. They're
like
console computer type machines.
Okay, yeah.
I guess it'd be the best way to put it. Not quite your typical console, gaming console, but it leans more toward a PC than a typical like a Nintendo or an Atari or something like that. Mm-hmm. Even Atari did their own computer at one point, sort of. I don't remember. I was barely alive at that time.
Right, we didn't know what was going on yet.
Yeah.
Concerned about food.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm still concerned about food.
Real quick, I do want to, again, give a shout-out to Jimmy Marr, who was the guy who a lot of this information came from. Like, doing research, I start in little tidbits. I was like, I find a detail here, find a detail there. I stumbled upon this dude, and if it hadn't been for this guy and his blog, a lot of these details would have been fallen by the wayside, and I'm really, really condensing what he wrote.
Yeah.
A lot of these details, like I'm just pulling details as much as I can and trying to fit this into a nice, neat little package that we can present like this. Mm-hmm. So shout out to him if you want all the details. Links to his little blog are down below, and he's got tons others that I may or may not look into at some point, but I felt like this was the most interesting one that I've stumbled upon, and maybe I'll stumble upon another one at some point. But again, shout out to him for essentially being the source of this information.
Excellent.
Now, last week, I told you a partial tale about Epyx, and I did so because I felt that condensing this next portion we're going to talk about would really be a disservice. If I just glossed it over, there's just so many little bits about it that you have to understand as to why this is such an important story, why this is an important moment for Epyx. So I really wanted to give you a meatier tale, than just glossing this over. Now, if you recall, Epyx was like the developer for the Commodore. That's what we kind of mentioned and touched on last week. They helped keep the platform alive. However, during the massive storm that was Nintendo, it was becoming a greater threat than anyone really noticed at the time. Now, the Commodore was becoming outdated, and Epyx's refusal to comply with Nintendo's rules, they didn't really want to jump ship, but in doing so, kind of put themselves into a bind. Because if they weren't going to develop for the number one console, the thing that would have kept them alive, you're going to have to come up with a plan. Mm-hmm. So what are you going to do? Now, I'm not even sure if I touched on this last week, but keep this in mind. Epyx survived the video game crash of 1983. They were a part of that, and they got through it alive, which says a lot about the company. Sure, I mean, yeah. Atari was the big dog at the time, and they're the ones that, essentially caused it, and they fell apart because of it. Epyx skated by thinly somehow and survived on the other side, being like, whew, we got through that, let's just keep going. But again, fighting the next big storm being Nintendo, that was a foolhardy decision. But you got to give them a little credit for saying, hey, no, we're going to do this our way. So to do that, to understand their plan, we're going to go back in history for a little bit, for that's, full context that's very, very important. Now, back then, numerous staffers at Atari were fed up with the company, and they decided to venture out on their own, creating a home console that would essentially double as a full-fledged computer. This hardware was affectionately referred to as Lorraine, was best known in the marketplace as the Amiga.
Yeah.
However, good ideas can't pay for themselves, so they attempted to fund their machine by selling joysticks and game cartridges to competitors like ColecoVision and Television, and even Atari. In fact, the founder of the Amiga, Jay Miner, cut an exclusivity deal with Atari when their initial funds began to dry up. So saying, hey, we'll be your go-to person for joysticks and cartridges and all that stuff. Cool. Now, keep that fact in mind. Okay? Very important fact. Now, unfortunately, during this time, Atari was on the brink of its division from the two separate entities because of the crash. This is when they became Atari Core and Atari Games, something we spoke about way back in episode 99 when we spoke about Atari in full. The former company, Atari Core, was taken over by Jack Tramiel, who ironically created the Commodore.
was gonna say, why did that name, like, as soon as you said it?
Yeah,
like,
we.
know that
Oh,
name.
he's a big figure, big with Atari, and very important to the story. Now, why is it ironic he created the Commodore with all of this? Keep that fact in mind too. Oh yeah, this is a
Giving
great.
us homework, man.
Oh yeah, just hang on to these little tidbits. Now, before becoming Atari Corps, the company was known as Tramiel Technologies, which was a holding company formed after Tramiel angrily exited the Commodore. The company was looking to purchase other companies for manufacturing purposes as well as technology acquisitions. Amiga was one of the companies approached. However, talks fell through when Tramiel said he was only interested in the company's chipset, not the staff. So he was going to just take their technology and piss them all away.
Like a typical suit would do.
Right? Fast forward to Atari Corps, and Tramiel stumbles upon that Amiga contract. You remember what we said? Huh?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so fortunately, the Amiga crew were not fools. Soon as they caught wind of Tramiel's acquisition deal with Atari, they began scrambling for a large investor that would save their computer, because they knew what was going to happen if Atari got their hands on it. Commodore was immediately interested and sought to buy the company outright to negate any prior contracts. Now, this led to a legal battle that was essentially kind of a tug-of-war match that eventually ended with Amiga staying with Commodore. So, it worked out for them
All right.
in a manner of speaking.
Sure.
Fast forward 3 years and we see Epyx bringing on another Amiga co-founder, David Morse, as the new CEO for the company. Now, Morse had a reputation of being a miracle worker and was actually instrumental in the Commodore deal that got Amiga away from Atari. Current Epyx CEO Gil Freeman believed in Morse so much and his ability to save the company that he, as soon as he was hired, it was like, well, you're the CEO, you're the man in charge now, I'm going to just step away over here. That's how much he believed in everything that he saw. They were so confident in this that Epyx declared it would be a $100 million company by the turn of the decade.
Okay.
A pretty bold statement.
Yeah, it is.
But how's this?
Especially in the day and age of when it was.
Right? But how could you do that? What could this company do to change its course and keep it from failing like so many others? Well, we enter R.J. McCall and Dave Needham. They are two of Morse's best engineers from Amiga who had an idea for a new kind of handheld gaming device. At this point in time, handheld gaming devices were nothing more than singular vision creations. Do you remember those that you'd buy from Tiger, where it would just be like a blank screen and some images on there and they'd barely move and they'd be like, meep,
Oh, yeah.
meep, meep, meep,
Yep.
meep, meep. That was essentially all a handheld device was at the time. So when we talk about handheld gaming back in the 80s,
Like, it was just like that game, too. Like, it
Yeah.
was sold with that game on it. There was no switching them out. Yeah.
so if you bought a handheld game, it was like you're buying Ninja Gaiden or
Paperboy.
Paperboy, or they even did the Nintendo's Game & Watch games were those things back then. It's, if you don't know what we're talking about, go look that up, because these are a relic of the time. At the time, they were something special to us. Some were hard as hell. I remember being so frustrated with them. But it had its charm, I guess, at the time. Like, I don't know if I could play one now.
No.
But back then, you're just like, huh, okay.
Maybe for like a minute or two for
Yeah.
old time's sake. And then
Just
be
for
like,
old
"All right,
times.
yeah.
Yeah. But that was what handheld gaming was. But McCall and Needle saw the possibility of something greater. They knew there could be something more than just this singular vision. So, what were they looking to do? They all shared in this idea. Like, how could we do handheld gaming in an entirely new way? So, even though they were all on the same page, it wasn't necessarily about money. You know, everyone was on board. They had the money. This was about making it a reality. Because Epyx was not a console company. nor were they a handheld gaming manufacturer at the time. Like I said, that was like Tiger Electronics and whomever else was doing them at the time. Tiger was really big. I'm gonna have to look into them. That'll be a story for another day.
There you go.
I just remembered about it.
There's a lot of that.
Yeah. But Micah and Needle did have experience back in Amiga making the joystick, so there was a bit of technology, hardware base, I guess, that they were aware of. But again, not a console, let alone one that had never been done. Because again, this is a brand spanking new idea they were thinking of, brand new outside of the box. But there was a plan. They were going to use an old model Commodore 64 chip as the base. Then they would design custom hardware around it to alleviate the processing power from the chip. A blitter for faster animation, a 4-channel sound chip, 3.5-inch LCD display with 160 by 102 resolution. Sounds very weak by today's standards. Just trust me on this. At the time, it would have been amazing. And a color palette of 4,096 colors. Its name? The Potato.
Oh dear. Is this how it got started? Are we finding it out? Did it poop hard and that's why everything's called the potato?
Could be. I didn't think about that as I was writing it.
We're always like, I am potato.
Now granted, this isn't the most earth-shattering name ever conceived, but the concept had never been seen on the market at the time, so it sounds impressive. I mean, what it was, just the name wasn't there yet. It was just something they affectionately referred to it as. It's the Potato.
Okay.
Additional ideas for this Potato included a multiplayer link port, the inclusion of an accelerometer, with the latter idea being a little too costly, but as we've seen in today's technology, it eventually caught on. Everything else seemed pretty manageable, so a plan was set in place over a 2-year time span with $4 million to invest to make the Potato a reality. And even after making this gamble, the company found massive success with California Games, which became their biggest hit ever, and that helped keep their investment afloat. But for whatever reason, after the success, the company attempted something that they hadn't also done before again. And it seemed like a very foolhardy move, considering why change something that works.
Sure.
Because one thing to kind of keep in mind, if you're not familiar with the games series, Summer Games, Winter Games, California Games, and the latter, these were Olympic-style games, but they allowed them a little bit of charm. Like, they could do silly things with it and make it humorous and just simple things just to kind of make it a little bit more fun for the player, as being strict to the books things.
Right.
They were not official licensed games by the Olympics. But for whatever reason, after California Games, they went and sought the Olympic license for their games. Because of this, their games became very stiff Atari carbon copies that no one really wanted to play. Atari had, in fact, had those Olympic licensings, and no one really cared for those. So this unique vision that they had with previous iterations was gone because of Olympic committee rules. They said, you can't do that, you can't do this, you can't do that, you gotta do this, you gotta do that. And it took all the fun and joy out of the games. And this move hurt the company financially. I should have gotten some water. I knew this was going to be a long story, and I didn't get any water. Now, another move that didn't help the company was an investment into interactive VCR-based systems.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, something that was the equivalent of burning money. Because that was just a terrible, terrible idea back then. Horrible. But despite these setbacks, Epyx was committed to the Potato. So much so that $4 million price tag could have doubled, but that has not been confirmed.
Oh, okay.
But,
Just left to wonder, huh?
Yeah, left to wonder. In fact, there are a few things that are a little hazy, but, it's because people talk. In 1989, the team presented the Potato to a small group of investors at CES, hoping to find a buyer. However, names like Nintendo and Sega took a peek and immediately passed. No one was really interested in the potato, despite it.
Potato?
It was a great idea, great presentation. In fact, we can all assume why Nintendo took a pass if you look at the year, but we'll get into that in a moment. Eventually, Morris, McCall, and Needle were left with one simple prospect, one singular company and person that really, really wanted the potato, one that prompted some immediate deja vu. Atari. Jack Tramiel was back and eager to get his hands on that potato.
It was that potato, damn it.
Mm-hmm. Now, obviously, due to past experiences, this led to hesitation from the team because they knew dealing with him was dealing with the devil, but this was the only option on the table.
But my potato.
Mm-hmm. And that desperation was like blood in the water for Tramiel. Under the deal, Atari would take the potato, rebrand it, and take over all aspects regarding it, leaving Epyx with nothing but a software partnership. They lost their potato. But in the face of this deal, you tell me, I know it wasn't great, but do you take the deal with the devil, or do you watch your creation die?
No, that's always a tough decision because I still think even if it's your baby, you still want to be the one to continually curate it and be the driving force behind it. So it's kind of like either way you slice it, your dream has been kind of effed.
Yeah. And that's, I think, where they were at. They didn't want to see it die. They wanted to see it come to fruition. And that's why they desperately took that deal just to make it happen. Now, for the sake of clarity, as I mentioned before, what happened next regarding this deal and every detail from forward is a little questionable because there are a variety of reports that kind of contradict one another. Now, one thing that seems fairly consistent is the deal was put in place where Epyx would be given payments as they delivered on the portion of said deal. One of those details was delivering the potato itself, like fully fledged, formed, and everything is like, here's that, and then you do as you wish with it. This deal fell through because Atari claims Epyx did not hold up their end of the bargain. Now, if I were to take a guess based on what I read, now this is just my opinion, I'm not saying this is fact, but something tells me, based on the details that I read, Atari set a very unrealistic expectation for Epyx that they could not meet, and when they failed to do so, they yanked the carpet out from under them. Because this is Jack Tramiel we're talking about.
I can't believe that.
And this is a $2 million carpet, if we're going to put too fine a point on it. That's what they were going to be paid. And then they were just like, nope, you failed, you didn't do it, so we can't pay you the $2 million. And due to a clause in the contract, the potato immediately became property of Atari due to breach of contract.
Just gonna ask that.
Yeah.
If he got it regardless.
He did. So Epyx was in no condition to fight a very expensive legal battle, and Tramiel knew that. So he put them into a situation that they were going to get screwed over one way or the other, and he was going to come out on top. The only option that Epyx had at this moment was to just deliver the games it was obligated to deliver for the potato, otherwise they were done. Ultimately, this was yet another avenue Tramiel found a way to screw Epyx out of money. As the contract stated, Epyx had 60 days to fix any bugs discovered in their software, or Atari would withhold payments. As it was told by sources, Atari would not report the bugs until the 11th hour, leaving Epyx with no time to fix them.
I would have screwed it up hardcore so they didn't even have a product to fix.
Well, finally,
you know what? I'm not getting paid either way, so screw it. Like,
yeah.
I'm junking this whole thing, like accident, quote unquote.
Well, finally, Epyx was left with an ultimatum. Tramiel was going to pay them one big lump sum to just walk away, or they could get jack shit. So, Epyx had to do what they had to do. By 1989, they were bankrupt. David Morse, R.J. McCall, and Dave Needle ultimately felt betrayed, no shit, by having their pet project stolen from them. And even though they knew who they were dealing with, it was a move of desperation that they really hoped would work in their favor. Because, as we recall earlier, David Morse was meant to be the miracle worker. Just didn't quite work out the same way this time. However, they were able to leave Jack Tramiel with one little problem that could be seen as a consolation prize. The development system of the Potato was built around the Amiga, therefore would only run on Amiga, thus forcing Atari to purchase many of their rivals' platforms for internal development, as well as having to make third-party developers aware of this and having them purchase Amigas as well. And,
sorry if I don't feel bad for you.
And while they had no particular hand in this, 1 month before Atari unleashed the Potato onto the world, Nintendo unveiled the Game Boy and, pretty much smashed and destroyed the handheld market because it became the go-to handheld for years to come, leaving
you could change games then on that one.
And Tetris became the hot commodity.
Oh, God, yeah, it did.
So the Potato never had a chance when Nintendo stepped onto the scene. But the Potato did release, and it did sell for 5 years. It just never caught on. It was bulkier, more expensive, and ate batteries like a starving dog finding scraps.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah. Furthermore, it became increasingly expensive. Furthermore, it became expensive for the Atari to find suppliers for the Potato's components at a reasonable cost. This, according to sources, was due to Tramiel's reputation. That bastard thing that he has.
So stellar and upstanding.
And he had burned numerous bridges prior to this. And then when he had to come back to these people for the parts, they were like, oh, you need parts from us? Well, it normally costs X amount of dollars, but we're going to double it for you.
Just for you. It's a nice Tramiel special, as we'll call it here.
Exactly. So it seemed like a reckoning was finally coming for Tramiel in some way. But as I go on and on about this little bitty Potato, has it perhaps become clear what the Potato was?
Maybe not. I feel like I've been paying attention.
Okay. Well, while with Epyx, it was unofficially the Potato, but when the time came to give it a proper name, they eventually called it the Epyx Handy. When control fell to Atari, Atari initially called it the Atari Portable Entertainment System, or, if you spell it out, apes. So
I love people.
Atari was like, we can't do that. So Atari settled on a more fitting name, one that reflected on the idea of connection. Last guess, do you know what this is?
Are we talking about a handheld?
We are.
See, I never did so many handhelds, so I bet you'll say it and I'll go, duh. But for the moment, no, I'm drawing a blank.
The Potato was actually the Atari Lynx. You don't remember the Lynx?
No, I actually don't.
Okay.
Again, handheld was not my thing. We had a Game Boy because Mom got addicted to Tetris.
Sure.
But yeah, I always did PC and just regular console.
Well, it didn't really light the gaming world on fire for the reasons that I mentioned before. You had one that was cheaper, better on batteries, and had more games to choose from, despite it not being the nice colored picture and whatnot. Substance over what's the word? style over
quality.
substance or quality. I don't know.
Quality over quantity or quantity
there you go,
over
yeah.
quality, whatever. Yeah.
But if you really look at it, it was ahead of its time and came to life in the most unexpected place as nothing more than a humble little potato.
Potatoes.
There you go. A little history lesson about the Atari Lynx.
Is he gone, Tramiel? Did we
He is.
finally?
Yeah.
Good. Okay. I know that's probably horrible to say, but that's just, I hate hearing when suits just like bully these little guys. They always want their tech
I know.
and their brain.
Mm-hmm. But
Can't
no, I
just
don't
work
think
together,
he's.
man.
I don't think he's in charge of anything anymore.
All right. Well, boo
Yeah.
to him. But it sounds like they ended up getting a deal in the long run anyway, just getting bought out, and then like it didn't end up really working out. So they're like, hey.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say
You know, or it probably could have been great if they didn't have to like mess around in court forever over stuff, you know,
Sure.
and let time pass and tech overtake them.
I mean, I think the choices they made, as bad as they became for them, probably worked out better for them in a manner of speaking. At least they were thinking ahead,
In
because
hindsight,
a legal battle probably would have destroyed them even worse off, taking the lump sum payment. Despite being bankrupt, they're like, all right, at least we can do something. You know, just take the money and go, and we'll start over fresh somewhere else. Tramiel got his in the end eventually.
Yeah.
I understand I would have been devastated too, watching my baby. That's one of the reasons I'm so paranoid about. Say someone came knocking and said, hey, I want to buy Super Mega Crash Adventures. We would think it'd be great for our platform. All right, cool. What's the deal? And if there any point in that deal, they're just like, we're going to take it from you. We have ownership. I'm like, nah, dude.
right?
And I know that could be that one and only opportunity, the one and only thing that could jumpstart my career. But if I lost that, I would be devastated.
You'd never be able to create with that again.
Yeah, and it kills me, and I don't want to do that. So I sympathize when I hear that some people get their creations taken away. Comic creators are just now really starting to get their foothold on. Think about this, people. If you don't know this story, I'm going to kind of give you a quick condensed history lesson. Joel Siegel and Jerry Schuster, if I got their names right, created Superman. And when they did, they had no idea that he was going to be the icon he is today. And they did not have ownership of this character. And then one day it just took off, and guess what? These guys are broke, poor, homeless, while their creation is soaring high and making a company millions of dollars. And it wasn't until later in life that someone was like, this is bullshit. They're owed some money. That the family finally got something. But I feel like, if I'm not mistaken, one of the creators, like, he got it so late in life that it was just like, well, the fuck am I going to do with it now?
Right.
You know, so it just didn't matter. But I guess the solace of knowing that you're getting something, that's why you always see their names attached when it says Superman created by. That's something. Same goes with another creator, Bill Finger, who co-created Batman, but you never saw his name until recently because someone did their due diligence and said, no. Bob Kane's a shyster here. He took all the credit for something he didn't do.
Yeah.
He may have had the idea, but the Batman we know and love today, Bill Finger. The Joker, Bill Finger. You know, you've got, I mean,
I feel like people love screwing over artists.
They do.
Like, they just don't respect what they do nearly enough. And yeah.
And I've had to like, there was a moment in time where I heard an argument, and I can't remember who it was between. I feel like it was Kevin Smith and Alex Ross, which that's a writer and an artist, if you want to use that as your basis.
Sure. And
Kevin Smith had said something along the lines of just saying Stan Lee created Spider-Man and left it at that. Alex Ross took offense to that. He's like, no. Stan Lee and Steve Ditko created Spider-Man. And that caused this argument, and I started thinking about it, and I was like, well, who is right? And in essence, it's both. Because Stan Lee may have had the idea. He may have written everything that made Spider-Man Spider-Man. And that character was created in his brain. But the iconic suit that we all know would not exist without Steve Ditko. Therefore, you don't have both. You have one of the ideas. You have to have both.
Yeah.
Now, if Stan Lee drew Spider-Man and he wrote Spider-Man, then he created Spider-Man. But no. That iconic suit, that iconic look, and the creation of the character married together, that's how you get it. You credit both.
Yeah, it should be. But they really do. They just don't get the respect they deserve, way more. And pay your artists, man. Give them credit. Because, again, it was a visual medium.
Sure.
It wasn't just a book. If it was just a book, then fine, you know.
Same video games, movies, TV, the characters, the creations, the artists, the integral artist in the background who create the designs. Sure, someone says, I like that one. They approve it, but that person's the one that come up with it.
They came up with it and presented it to you, man. Yeah. This was what came out of my head, my brain, to my finger, to this paper.
Yeah.
Which do you like? Yeah.
And if they can do something that turns or becomes iconic, then give them a shot with something else because, hey, they might have a few more good ideas up there.
And let them still make money off of it. You're still getting rich, for crying out loud.
Yeah. Percentages, baby.
Artists
That's all you got to do.
Struggling to live.
Yep. But that's the story of the potato, or the AKA the Atari Lynx.
Thank you for the story, man. That was fun. Excellent. I'm enjoying this.
I'm glad.
We'll see what we got going on for the next one. Well, guys, I know it's a little shorter than normal, but you may not care. Who knows? But that's our show. You can hit us up sometime on Twitter at Super Mega Crash, and you can send us an email at supermegacrash@gmail.com. You can go to Instagram to view the weekly icon art that Stephen puts his time and love into. And you can also support the show by liking and leaving reviews on your preferred platform, and even going to patreon.com/pencil and paper productions, like Bundy. You can tell your friends to find us on the Pencil and Paper Podcast Network, or search Super Mega Crash Brothers Turbo on Apple Podcasts, Podbean, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Amazon Music, and even youtube.com/Pencil and Paper Productions. Thank you all so much for listening. I am Lacey O'Finley.
And I am Stephen White.
And you can join us again next time, Super Mega Crash siblings. But until then,
game on.
This has been a Pencil and Paper Podcast Network production.